Good evening, everybody. It's Roman Rich back to you with another episode of 66 Minutes where we talk all about Route 66, what's happening, and what has happened. We talk about the past, the present, the future, all things related to Route 66. This is episode number 18. Today is the 18th of June, coincidentally, so that's pretty cool. Um, we do this every week. For those of you who don't watch, 7 p.m. every Sunday, and sometimes I'll have a host. I'm sorry, sometimes I'll be the host and I'll have a guest, and then sometimes I'll have people live stream in. Viewers like you, people in the audience that just have questions or comments, things like that. The last few weeks, been pretty busy running around doing all sorts of roaming. What I do best is roaming around. And this past week, I was anchored down pretty much at the Shamrock Court. We had a work week session there. We worked Monday through today. Actually, I just got back a couple hours ago and spent a lot of time down at the Shamrock. Going more into the show, I'm going to turn the chat on here in just a second. And so I'll see your comments and stuff as they come in live. Um, I have this fear, kind of a confession of being redundant. And I always like to be fresh and have new stuff and all sorts of cool new things to talk about. But, when you find yourself involved in a project or several projects like I am, week after week, day after day, sometimes you just can't help but to report on the progress of those projects. So I guess because I was spending so much time down at the Shamrock, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the Shamrock today. So because I was working so much, and I have several friends of mine that join me that can attest to this, that I just didn't have very much time to think about tonight's show. So I apologize in advance if it's not a very fun show, but I'm going to do my best to try to make it fun. I will open this up in a little bit to people that would maybe like to live stream in. I'd like to take some new people if that's possible. And you don't have to hang out with me very long. You just want to pop in and ask me a question for 15, 20 seconds or a minute or two. Or if you'd like to talk for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, we can do that too. And the way that works is I'll post a QR code right there. Yeah, right there. That QR code that you see right now, that's going to take you, I believe, to our Facebook 66 Minutes page. And if you're on Facebook, it would probably be to your advantage if you want to stay up to date with the show to be a part of that group. Everybody's welcome. We'd love to see you there. That just happens to be where I take some of my input, some of my content that I put in the show, that I feature in the show. I pull it right out of that page typically. So if you're not a part of the group, click that QR code. Excuse me. Dust from the Shamrock still in my throat. If you're not a part of the group, join us. We'd love to have you. It'd be a good time. So every week I kind of do a couple of segments, and I usually start off with the shirt of the week. And this is an old one I have right here. There it is. The Wagon Wheel Restaurant in Needles, California. And I believe the gal that runs that, I think her name is Kim Alexis. She's signed the hood of the Route 66 adventure truck. Great restaurant. Write it down, Google it, put it on your list of places to visit. This is the front of the shirt. Let's take a look at the back of the shirt. That's what it looks like on the back. It's kind of a funny play on people always saying that in the desert, it's a dry heat, and the cactus is sweating there, and there's a dead guy in a sombrero. And in the background, you can see the Wagon Wheel Restaurant. So yeah, that's one of my favorite shirts. I've had this one for a long time, and if you get a chance to stop in at the Wagon Wheel in Needles, California, you should, because they have great food and great people. It's an old-timey kind of a 1960s, 1970s flair place. And For those of you that know who Bob Waldmeyer is, he would frequent that restaurant and he would hang out there and do drawings and sketches and things like that. He had his own booth, and I believe they have a lot of memorabilia there dedicated to Bob Waldmeyer's memories. So you might stop in there and check it out. It's a neat place. I always do when I get out to California. I stop in there, at least grab a piece of pie and have a good time there. So lots of happy Father's Day wishes out there. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, to you as well. Hope you had a great weekend. I hope you spent some time with your father, or I hope if you are a father, your kids spent some time with you. Personally, I had to watch one of my sons play soccer today. That was quite an event. He's a very good goalie in his soccer team. He's about 10 years old. He'll be 11 here in the next 6 months, and he's a very good goalie. It was always a treat to watch him play. So yeah, join us there at 66 Minutes on the Facebook page. We're going to talk a little bit about the Shamrock in just a moment here. I'm going to pop open the QR code. I'll do that right now, actually. There's a QR code. Get my finger right. There it is. There's the QR code for joining the live show tonight if you want to do that. If you want to come in, just use your phone, use your laptop, use your webcam, whatever you like to do. Join me here. I'll turn you into the studio, get you on the screen. You can fire your questions away, and we'll go from there. Before I get into the Shamrock, those of you that aren't aware of the Shamrock, it's a little motor court my wife and I purchased in Sullivan, Missouri. We've got a Facebook page. We've got a website called shamrock66.com. It's pretty easy to get to. We do need to do some updating to it, but the Shamrock page on Facebook has lots of updates, and I'm going to try to show you one of those here in just a second. We did so much work. It was crazy. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here. Just a moment. Let's see. That's not it. That's it. Okay. So this here was a tub that I was removing, and I'm going to press play, and we'll play it for a little bit. I might skip around. It's a 4-minute long video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's quite entertaining. I have to use a bobcat or a skid steer to pull this cast iron porcelain tub out of the Shamrock. It was the last one remaining. It was the biggest one they had. It's a 5-foot tub. The rest of them that were in the facility were 4.5 feet. And we'll pop that in here just a second here and hit play.
All right. Weighs like 4 million pounds. Okay.
Weighs like 4 million pounds. Probably weighs at least 400 pounds.
Okay, you guys ready? All right.
You can see we got it chained up there. We'll be tugging it through the building, pulling it out, trying to save our backs. We've got Rita Kirchhoff and Scott Wallace there guiding the tub out. And again, if you want to watch the whole video, go over to our Facebook page, Saving the Shamrock Court on Facebook. Okay, so we'll get it out here, pulling it out the front door. This gal to the left, this lady, that's Sue Wallace. That's Scott's wife. So they don't make them like they do in Wisconsin. And it's just coincidental that both Rita, Sue, and Scott Wallace, Joe Sonderman's in there too. He's back there. But this trio from Wisconsin, they were with us all week working on the Shamrock. It was pretty amazing. They were extremely helpful. We got a lot done. There it is. Look at that beautiful white porcelain tub. We don't know what we're going to do with it, but there it is. Yeah, pretty cool stuff there. We don't know what we're going to do with that tub. We might reintroduce it to the motel, but we're not sure. I do have someone that came on tonight I believe he hails from California. He has a lot of knowledge about the West Coast, and I'm glad he tuned in tonight. It's Christopher Cook. We're going to bring him in right now. Hey, how's it going, Chris? Oh, Chris paused. He was there. Well, gosh. Okay, maybe Chris can tune back in. For some reason, he's on pause. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Well, Chris, maybe log out and log back in, see if you can come back in. I'd love to have you on the show here. Yeah, talking about the Shamrock, you would not believe the amount of work we did. And because I just got back home, I was unable to really prepare any major footage other than what's on Facebook. So you should probably go over there, Saving the Shamrock Court, check it out. There's a lot of footage, a lot of pictures. If you've never seen it before, and maybe I can get some of those 360-degree pictures. I actually had a little bit of time to shoot some on the way out. Let me see if I can find those. And yeah, there we go. Let's see here. We'll share that. Maybe Chris will log back in. I'm dying to hear what he's got going on over in California. Let's see here. So if you've never messed around with 360 images, here's your chance. If you want to go on the Shamrock Court, you can actually move these images around. Let me get one that's inside the building. So there's me kind of taking a peek outside the building, and you can look around. You can kind of see we're all loaded up, kind of getting ready to go. And here's inside one of the breezeways. So you can literally take your fingers if you're on your phone, and you can turn and manipulate the view in the picture. You can see up, down, all around, and it's pretty neat. So I just recently uploaded those on the Facebook page. I'll post a link to that here shortly. That's the fireplace inside the main office, and that's the front door. That's me in my tattered Route 66 shirt. And this is our makeshift table that we had in the Shamrock. And we actually probably had the first lunch inside the Shamrock, inside the actual Shamrock, in probably over 10 or 15 years or so. Anyway, so check that out. Go take a look at that. It's on the Facebook group. I might go down through the chats here. I haven't been paying attention. Let's see what we got in the chats. Okay. Let's see here. People would like to stay at the Shamrock, but a cast iron tub. You know, the cast iron tub's still out there. If I can figure out a way to get it in, I will. It's kind of strange how the Shamrock Rock was arranged. There's 10 rooms. Down one side, it had tubs, but down the other side, it had stand-up showers. When we reopen it, we're going to have all tubs, 100% all tubs in the Shamrock. So it makes it kind of difficult to figure out where to place that bathtub. I don't know, but I'll make sure if we don't use it in the Shamrock, we'll definitely make sure that it gets a good home, because it's a neat piece. It's original from the 1940s. They just don't make them like that anymore. Okay, let's see here. Somebody says there's a lot of chatting going on here. Lots of happy Father's Day and stuff. If you want to join the show, you can still do it right there. Just scan that barcode. I do want to acknowledge, again, we had 3 people that were there the entire week. Scott Wallace, Rita Kirchhoff, and Scott's wife, Sue Wallace. They showed up. Everybody showed up. Actually, Scott and Sue showed up before I did. They showed up last Sunday. And then Rita and I showed up on Monday. And we were there the whole time, and you would not believe the amount of work we got done. We went from dirt floors inside this building to rock. And now we had a lot of other volunteers show up too, which made a big impact, a big difference. I know Ed showed up, Ed Larimore. We had a gal that showed up, a local, Debbie Deeker. She showed up several times. She was very helpful. James Abbott showed up. Bill Giddings showed up. Joe Sonderman, Elizabeth Olwig showed up. I know I'm missing somebody here. It'll come to me. But we had a lot of people show up to help out. A lot of guys from my work showed up unannounced. I thought that was really cool. So that was George Dorr, who helps produce this show sometimes when we have guests, his son. We also had another guy named Shay that showed up. He works with us at my job. And so that was really nice. Those guys made a huge impact moving the rock. We moved 22 tons of rock inside of that building. We're not even done yet. But yeah, we ordered 45 tons. We used about half of the pile, and we still have probably another 15 to 20 tons to go to get everything filled in. We can't do it yet. Progress-wise, the Shamrock is awaiting plumbing, and that's a good thing. I finally hired a plumber this week. He starts a week from tomorrow, and once he gets his plumbing done, we will be able to finally install the rest of the rock and the gravel, and then we move on to concrete. We're going to concrete the floors and get those all replaced. I did a lot of jackhammering this week to remove the rest of the existing concrete floors. Just a ton of work. It would have taken me probably close to a month to get what we got done this week, and so I'm very, very grateful for that. I'd also like to make mention of some donors that contributed money. That's always helpful. Bill Carey, he always donates quite a bit of money. Thank you, Bill. Ron Hale, he donated a significant amount of money. Thank you so much, Ron. We appreciate that. Brad Reavers, Jen Humphrey, Nancy Berrigree, she participates on the show fairly often with her pictures, her and her husband. Paul Wilson, Mike and Susie Alter, and on a monthly basis, George Hartman donated. If you would like to donate, you just got to go to this little QR code right there. I keep missing that. I have to get my lens changed right there. You want to click on that, help us get going on the Shamrock. I really think we'll be open by next year, the way things are going. We are moving along very speedily. I do need some help. I mean, the money and the volunteers is great, but I'm having trouble finding replacement doors. So if anybody out there knows anything about wooden exterior doors, I would love to hear from you and maybe lean on you for some expert advice. You know, if I can pull up maybe some more images of the Shamrock, maybe we can get a picture of one of these doors. A fella just posted in the Shamrock page on Facebook tonight. He chugs a beer can all, like 2 seconds right there in front of the Shamrock. That was entertaining. That was pretty funny. I want to see. There's a video. Let me see if I can find a picture of some of the doors, because these doors, they look like a standard door, but they're not. That's a good one right there. Let's use that. Okay. Clicking the button. Nothing's happening. Oh, there it goes. Okay, coming right up. Okay, that's one of the doors. That's one of the original doors. And it's just a typical 6-panel door. Looks like a standard door, but they're cut very differently. There's not one door in that motel that is alike. They are all cut completely different, and so and they're not exactly an exterior grade door either. They had storm doors over them, and I'm not really fond of the storm doors. In fact, we got rid of all the aluminum trim off of the storm doors, and we're going to just ditch the storm doors and replace the exterior doors with new wooden ones if we can find them. That's where I need your help if anybody knows anything about doors, because I'm having trouble. These doors range from 31 3/8 to like 31 5/8. Basically, it's a 32-inch door cut down, but it's got to be exterior grade. It's got to be reinforced so people just can't punch through the panels, stuff like that. Not that I ever expect that, but you just never know. I want people to feel secure. So that's what we're looking at. Moving on, Keith Vaughn has a question. He would like to know about two guns. And I hate to tell you, Keith, but I haven't a clue. There's always been rumors swirling about Two Guns. Now, for those of you who don't know about Two Guns, that's in Arizona, and I don't know if it's been bought or not. Um, so, if you see something out there, an actual article, and something that you guys can send to me in the 66 Minutes Facebook group, I will definitely report it all to you, and we'll maybe investigate it a little bit. The last rumor was Russell Crowe bought it, and then some developer was trying to buy it, and he didn't get funding. So, what I do know about Two Guns is that it has suffered a lot of horrible vandalism in the last 5 years, and I wish people would knock that off. That is very disrespectful, both to the past, present, and the future. It's probably one of the most inconsiderate acts somebody can commit is vandalism. So that's where Two Guns is, as far as I know. Okay, Christopher Cook is back. We're going to bring him in here, I hope, and I think we'll have a little segment here. Just a second. Okay, Christopher Cook. I think he's there.
Messed up.
That's choppy. Hold on just a second, Chris. There you go. There you go. I'm kind of new at this studio thing. Chris, how do we sound?
Hello, can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, turn your speakers down though, because we're going to get an echo.
I'm hearing you on my.
Hear me? There you go. Yeah, turn your speakers down though, because we're going to get an echo. You got to turn your speakers down.
You though.
Yeah, turn your speakers down though. How's that, Chris? Speakers down.
You though.
How's that, Chris?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I know you can hear me, but I need you to turn your speakers down because we're going to be doing this feedback thing, and I'll have to wait 10 minutes to say something. Is there any? Can you turn your audio down? Feedback thing, and I'll have to wait 10 minutes to say something. Is there any? Can you turn your audio down?
Yeah, I think so. Are we good now?
I think so. Do I hear myself in your audio anymore? Doesn't sound like it. What's going on, man? In your audio anymore? Doesn't sound like it. What's going on, man?
Oh, just kicking back here in the Southern California mountains of Big Bear.
Well, tell us what you got. You got questions or you got comments? You got what do you got? You got stories? What you got? You got questions or you got comments? You got what do you got? You got stories?
I wanted to wish you a very nice, happy Father's Day, and I appreciate all the work you're doing on the Shamrock. Happy Father's Day.
Well, I appreciate it too. Do you ever get out to Missouri at all? Well, I appreciate it too. Do you ever get out to Missouri at all?
I do not. I'm sort of a Southern California boy, and I stay here most of the time. I do not.
I don't blame you. One of these days I talk to my wife. We always kind of fantasize about how we want to go explore Pacific coastal region, the old Pacific Coast Highway, not what's there now, the old original Pacific Coast Highway, and some of those old alignments and bridges and trails. And I'd like to just come out there for about 2 or 3 months and check that out. I'd like to just come out there for about 2 or 3 months and check that out.
Oh, I'm sure you would really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, Chris, we've got a little delay in our audio. I've got a couple other questions on here. I appreciate you tuning in tonight, and would maybe love to have you as a guest one night where we could kind of secure our connection. Maybe you could tell us about some of the old porcelain signs and stuff that you deal with.
You betcha. Sorry for the delay and all the technical problems, but that seems to be what I deal with a lot.
That's okay. All right, Chris, you have a good one. Go your own way, man. We'll see you soon. Chris, you have a good one. Go your own way, man. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye now.
Okay. All right. So somebody's mentioning Habitat for Humanity has a restore. Yeah, the problem with that is I need I need the doors to match. I need them to be new, and I need like a bunch. I need probably 15 doors. So I got no problem paying for doors. I know they're going to cost me some money, but I need them to fit and be exact. So appreciate that advice though on the Habitat for Humanity. Eric Dobbs asks if there's any updates on the Gasconade River Bridge. Not that I know of right now, Eric. We probably are due to be having a meeting sometime soon with Federal Highways and MoDOT again. I've got several other battles that I'm kind of dealing with at the moment, all pertaining to Route 66. The Gasconade seems to surface whenever I have just the slightest lull in time, which isn't often. But I think as it remains right now, we're still winning the fight at least. And the biggest issue we have with the Gasconade Bridge is the money. In a nutshell, the Federal Highways has a mandate or a code, an ordinance, so to speak, that if a bridge is to get torn down, that the portion of demolition funds that the Federal Highways contributes is supposed to be sent to the new owner, the transferee. The problem with that is that the state develops the plan or the design scope for that demolition, and they assign a dollar amount to that. And everybody that we've talked with so far, including Federal Highways, unanimously agrees that the dollar amount MoDOT has assigned to that bridge for demolition costs is far too low, at an amount of $225,000. MoDOT remains stuck on that figure. Interestingly enough, when we first started talking with MoDOT representatives about the Gasconade Bridge, back almost, it'd be nearly 9 years ago this year so far, they said like $275,000 back then. They didn't come out and officially say it, but no matter what, that was 9 years ago. This country's been through a lot. Inflation has gone through the roof, and there's no way somebody's coming down there at $225,000 and spending a month down there with a heavy crew trying to pull that bridge out of the river, or however they plan on doing it. So that's a point of contention right now. If anybody would like to watch the last meeting we had, I did live stream it. It was on the Gasconade Bridge page on Facebook. I'll try to maybe provide a link to that in the 66 Minutes Facebook group later on. You can watch the whole thing. It's pretty boring for the first 20-30 minutes, and then it starts getting heated about halfway through, and I start asking difficult questions to MoDOT, and they have trouble answering those questions. Got some other chats on here. Let's see here. Retro Adventure says, as a person who is restoring an old Route 66 business, I'd love to hear your opinion on what's going on to the launching pad, the Gemini Giant. I've got a lot of questions about the Gemini Giant from about a half a dozen people in the last couple of weeks. I really don't know. I don't want to criticize. I don't want to condemn what's happening. I know there's some unfortunate things, a car being parked in front of Gemini Giant. It is what it is. I fully believe in property owner rights. It's their property. They have the right to do whatever they want. They could park a car there. They could park a van there. They could park whatever they want. I do know Holly, and she's extremely nice. She's always been very hospitable when I've come through. I did reach out to her about a week ago. I sent her wishes, said I hope you're doing well. Did not get a response, so I really couldn't tell you truthfully, but I can tell you this. Prior to Tully and Holly doing a light restoration and reopening the launching pad, that place was destined to be torn down, I think. So we should all be grateful for the commitment and the efforts that they went through to reopen the launching pad, even though it wasn't a long-term operation. People go through changes, relationships change. That's life. We all know that. I'm sure the road will come together and find a creative outcome for Gemini Giant that works for everybody, and that's all we can hope for at this point. I've got some others. Wow, lots of good chats came through all of a sudden. Okay. Let's see here. Heading out next month to explore Albuquerque to about Winslow. Looking forward to visiting the Painted Desert Trading Post. Yeah, we're going to cover the Painted Desert Trading Post one of these days. I'm trying to get some of my pals on there from the co-op that we can maybe do a long special, maybe in like an hour and a half or 2 hour long special on the Trading Post, because that was really a very unique situation that I don't think has ever happened before. And not to brag, it just everything all kind of fell into place with the Painted Desert Trading Post out in Chambers, Arizona. For those that don't know what it is or haven't been there, again, you can find it on Facebook. You can Google it, Route 66 Painted Desert Trading Post. If not for our intervention, I believe it would be a pile of rubble by now. We purchased that as a group in 2018. We came together. We had somewhat of a plan just to stabilize the structure, but God willing, with the help of many, many volunteers, many donors from all over the world, thank you again. Also, a very nice grant from the National Park Service, Department of Interior. We were able to not only stabilize it, but do a light restoration on it to the point where now it's a mini museum out in the middle of the desert. Along a stranded along an orphaned section of Route 66 that you can't even get to unless you go through our locked gate. So it was interesting. I don't know that'll ever happen again. I hope it does for some of these places. And yeah, it was a neat adventure. It took us roughly 3 or 4 years to complete what we did out there, but if you don't know the backstory, you should take about 30 minutes and go and research the Painted Desert Trading Post, because I think you'll be very impressed, and not only impressed, but inspired, I hope. Let's see here. You guys will have to just kind of bear with me. I know a talk show, you don't want to have, awkward gaps of silence, but I usually wear glasses, and I don't want to wear glasses on the show because I look like a dork. And I have a hard time reading. I have a hard time reading some of this stuff without my glasses, so I'm a little slow. Okay, that's about it there. Let's see. Justin West just popped up. He's always kind of interacting with me on behind the scenes. How much have costs risen since you started the motel project, like concrete prices, etc.? Honestly, so we bought the motel during the height of the pandemic, when supply chains were interrupted, when a 2x4 would cost you $7 compared to $2.50. So a couple things about the Shamrock. The first work session we did at the Shamrock was not under my ownership, but in fact was under, it was a sanctioned event through the Missouri 66 Association under my leadership. And so we did a big cleanup. That went well, prices were good. But during that cleanup, I think that was also in 2020, maybe someone will chat and remind me, jog my memory, because my dates run in my head together. But I do remember we purchased 2x10s to kind of shore up the walls, because we weren't exactly sure how the walls in the Shamrock were being held up. And I'll get back to that in a little bit, because I have an answer. But at the time, we were afraid that the roof could collapse because the walls weren't supported. Didn't turn out to be that way, but we were being very proactive in trying to preserve that building. So the 2x10s were ridiculous. I mean, I think we paid like, I don't remember. It was expensive. It was like $30 for a 2x10. It was insane what we paid for 2x10s. But now lumber's gotten down pretty cheap. I did meet with my concrete contractor. His price is what I would have probably expected a couple years ago. I think things are slowing down a little bit in the construction part of our economy, and now people are kind of offering more affordable rates. I can tell you for sure, in my business, we have lowered our rates a little bit in the asphalt paving world because it's gotten more competitive. The work has slowed down. So I think materials have gotten better. The price for my air conditioning system went up a little bit, but the concrete actually came in under what I was expecting. What else? The plumbing came in under what I was expecting, but we did do a lot of work to get there. The first quote I got for plumbing at the Shamrock was about $60,000 or more. Actually, he told me $60,000 to $80,000. And that was to run all new supply lines, all new sanitary lines, 100% new plumbing. And but you had to dig out. So the Shamrock is horseshoe shaped like this, and so you had to dig out a channel all the way around the inside of the building. And one of these days I'll go over that a little bit. I might have gone over that a little bit in one of the last videos that we did on the Shamrock. But we hauled out 75 tons of dirt. Myself and volunteers dug out 75 tons of dirt. That's a lot. I mean, that's like 4 big dump truck loads of dirt that we hauled out by hand. And no, actually five dump truck loads, 5 to 6. And that probably saved us $40,000 because it took us a month to do it. So yeah, my plumbing bid recently came in at $18,000. I appreciate that question, Justin. That was a good question. I like to go down rabbit holes. That's another problem with me. I got all these thoughts in my head, and I've got my fingers in everything, so I'm always jumping to what I feel is interesting. The walls inside the Shamrock, again, if you check it out, right now the walls are supported by little screw jacks, but that's only for me to kind of keep them in alignment. As it turns out, the walls are just kind of floating. They don't really offer much in the way of structural support for the Shamrock roof. The Shamrock, actually, some of these floor jacks, it's hard to explain, but I had them in place for months, for years actually, to keep things shored up. But what we did this last week is we actually removed one of the rooms. We removed the bathroom, we removed the hallway and the master bedroom. And those, when I pulled those rooms out, those walls that made the rooms, the building actually lifted up off the jacks. So those jacks weren't really doing anything to support it, but the walls were just kind of floating there. Somebody asked a question, Kevin Arthur, he says, how would you describe the quality of the original build for the Shamrock? Okay, that's a great question. Thank you. I'm glad you asked it, Kevin. I would say it was exceptional. I would say I still contemplate and try to figure out how they did certain things, and I still couldn't offer you up an answer. I've been up and down in every little crevice of that building, and I can't really tell you how they built it, but it's 75 years old. It has been tuck pointed maybe one time prior to, in its life, besides its original mortaring. And the place is just, it's solid as a brick, man. It's just a rock. It's a giant rock. There's very minimal movement in the building. The only thing I would say they screwed up on, and we are remedying that situation, we're taking care of that, is the entire building, the entire structure was all built what we call slab on grade, which means you have a grade, and you pour a concrete slab. That's your floor. Everything rests on it. The whole thing was built that way, with exception, again, horseshoe shaped. You see my thumbs? Let's see right there. You see my thumbs? Imagine everything where my thumbs are at in this area was not slab on grade. It was a crawl space, and it was a horrible idea. And they were plagued with issues. I could tell, because when we ripped up the floors, we could see where they had to make repairs probably 3 or 4 times. The actual crawl space itself was limited to about maybe 10 inches below the floor joist, to a maximum of maybe 2 feet. So you imagine crawling on your stomach or on your back, trying to wiggle underneath this floor to make alterations. What a horrible idea, because the building took on a lot of moisture, and it had a little bit of termite issues, which rotted out the wood. And it just, when we got in there, when the Missouri 66 Association got in there, you can ask anybody who was there, it looked like a roller coaster. The floors were up and down. They were up and down like this, the floors. They had completely collapsed. The only thing holding them up was some concrete footings, and that's it. So they really screwed up when they came up with that idea. They should have went slab on grade, and we would have had a much different situation to deal with. But other than that, if you go up in the attic, the roof, everybody who goes up in the attic, they say, the roof looks like brand new. They look at it like, that roof looks like, did you replace all the wood? Nope. We replaced maybe 3% of the wood on the roof when we did the roof a couple of years ago. That wood looked like brand new. It still does. All the wood in that building looked like brand new. I've just now started to wrap my head around how they did the stonework, and I have to do that because there's one building. I think Mr. Dodds, when he built this place, I think he ran out of money, because they had an obscene amount of excess rock that they had brought in. It's still there. We still have rock on site from the original construction in 1948 from the Shamrock. And they were supposed to cover the well house, and I think they were supposed to cover a garage that was out back too. I'm going to take it upon myself to do that well house myself, maybe with the help of Chris Richardson, who runs the Larry Baggett's Trail of Tears outpost down there in Jerome, Missouri. I almost said Arizona, but in Missouri. He's going to show me a few tricks with doing rock work. And so I've been wrapping my head around all this rock work, trying to figure out, how do these guys get this rock so evenly spaced? And then staring at the wall, literally this last week, sitting there, maybe on the phone or taking a drink on a break or something of some water, I noticed 2 stones in the wall that came. They were once one stone. They came from the same stone, and it looked like that maybe they had slightly chiseled around it, or maybe used a saw to go around it lightly, and then chiseled it, and they broke that rock in half, and they had both halves within 3 feet of each other sticking out, and you could see all the different lines and the voids and stuff, how that they kind of would, like a loaf of bread, when you put it together, make a sandwich, how it, it's symmetrical. And that's what these stones were doing. They were very symmetrical. They were the same stone. And so I think they used a lot of chisels, and I think they probably had a saw in order to cut those stones the perfect depth to place them up on the wall. I'm going to find out, that's for sure. I'm not going to resort to old methods. I'm going to use modern methods, but I'm going to try to emulate what Marion Berti did in his construction techniques as best as I know how. And it's a little well house that's not that big of a job, but hopefully I don't screw it up. We'll see here. What other questions do I have? Let's see here. John Jimenez, he mentions the cleanup of the pack rats at the trading post was a success. Another Route 66 member who's very involved in doing things to improve Route 66. He was out there a few weeks ago and he found a giant pack rat out there, and there was a big nest. And John and Sandy, they go out there all the time and they take care of the Painted Desert Trading Post for us. None of us members live near the trading post. The closest one lives in southern Arizona, about 2.5 hours away. So we appreciate John and Sandy for going out there and taking care of our trading posts for us. So we actually consider them to be like part of the co-op family. They're great people. Other questions I do have. Looks like John and Elizabeth are in the studio here. I might bring them in here in just a second. Do we have any other questions out there from the people? I don't see anything. Again, you'll have to bear with me. I'm trying to read up on this. Does anybody have the link to go live? Well, it's up there. Let's see here. Struggling. Oh, no, that's somebody else. Okay. Somebody mentioned, this is interesting. Maybe I shouldn't mention it. Didn't say the name, but I'll just read it. It says, we were coming back from Winslow, going home to Indy, 3rd week of May. We stopped by the Shamrock. My wife, Tony, stepped into something in the lawn that smelled like dog doo-doo. Is there a ginkgo tree on your property, or maybe some neighborhood dogs? The stuff on her shoe didn't look like poop. I'm not sure who that was. I'm sorry you had that experience. They say it's good luck, I hear, to step in dog poop, although I never find it to be lucky myself. No, there's no dogs. I can tell you what it probably was. It was probably cats. We have a ton of cats that run around. There are 2 local neighbors that feed the cats, foster the cats, and the cats are going crazy there. At some point, it may turn into an issue that I have to relocate cats because there's like 50 of them out there. So I apologize for that. It is what it is. Oh boy, we got a spammer. It's my first spammer. Okay, let's see if I can delete that. Block user on Facebook. I love that option. And let's see here. Well, it didn't make them go away. Oh, let's see here. Cut that out and back on again. Oh, what a jerk who did that. I'm going to have to go find that person and block them. Okay, well, what I need you people to do right now is just hit some stuff on your chat. It might purge that person out of there, and hopefully I will have blocked them. That's the first time. I wondered how long it was going to take for a spammer to start dropping bombs on my show, and we went 18 shows. That's pretty freaking amazing. We were able to go 18 shows without having a spammer drop bombs on us. And it's the comments still in there. I had another option to block her from Facebook first. I maybe should have done that. But keep on commenting and get rid of that person. And I'll be sure to go in and find out where they posted that and block them from the groups. Interesting. Yeah, because when I did the relighting ceremony last year in March, we got just completely attacked by spammers, and it really hijacked the entire streaming session and really screwed us up. I learned a lot about Facebook groups that night. So, yeah, thanks for all my roadie pals out there for commenting. Get rid of that person. The more you comment, the more it'll move her off the screen. And 18 shows without a spam attack. That's pretty good. Kevin Arthur. I have seen a lot of international groups touring 66 lately. Very exciting. Any idea how this summer is comparing to 2019-ish? I doubt we're up to 2019 levels because, and this was news to me, the friends that visited me a couple weeks ago down at the Shamrock from Australia, they were waiting for the president of the United States to lift the vaccine mandate for people to come into the country. And I wasn't even aware we had one, but we sure enough, I looked into it. We did. That people that were not vaccinated could not come into the country and do this. Come visit. So they finally lifted that ban, and excuse me, lifted that ban. So now we're seeing a bunch more travelers. It's June now. I would imagine by next year, we'll probably see more Route 66 travelers on the international level than ever before. And that's pretty exciting because I hope to have the Shamrock open for them. Somebody reminded me that people brought lunch. Thank you to the Shamrock work session this week. Lindsay Bagnall brought lunch. Thank you. George Hartman brought lunch. Thank you. That was very nice of everybody. And another one of my employees, Quentin, also joined us for the work session to help us move a bunch of rock, and he was extremely instrumental in doing that. Let's see here. Okay, well, the spammer's gone. I appreciate that. Let's see what John and Elizabeth are doing. Bring them in here.
Hey.
What's going on, guys?
Hi, Roman Rich.
Hi, Rich.
How you doing?
What's up? What's new in your world? I see something on your screen there below Elizabeth. What is that?
Oh no, I left it on from before. It's the that's the little doodad. So if somebody wants to call in, I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's for people that do not want to interact with the internet any more than they have to. They don't want to be on camera, but they may have a question. So sometime if you want to do that, we can. I want to ask you, have you? I do a little bit of metal detecting, not as much as I have wanted to. Have you had guys come out and metal detect that property to see what type of odds and ends are in the dirt?
So it's funny you brought that up. It's a coincidence because when I had gravel brought in, the dump truck driver said, because I told him my next week's plans, not this week, but the following week, I am digging out that parking lot and replacing all the rock because it's not adequate enough. And I was mentioning this to him, and he says, "Oh man, you need to go over this whole thing with a metal detector first. There's probably tons of silver coins and all this stuff in there." And he's probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that, and maybe it's worth doing. I'm not saying I won't. I probably will. I have several metal detectors. I'm not very good with them, but I've found a few neat things. I probably will go over it. The problem is that there's still a bunch of nails and screws in the parking lot from when we had torn the roof off. I mean, there was a billion nails. We went over that. What's that?
For that, you can go through with one of the strips you get at the hardware store.
We did that.
It's a big magnet.
You already did that.
That'll get most of it.
Yeah, we did that. We've gone back and forth over it, and every time we do it, we just find handfuls of nails, and it's gotten better. But honestly, if people want to come out there, and I offered this invitation to this truck driver. Excuse me, I got a dry throat. If you want to come out there and you want to metal detect, go ahead. My only requirement is if you find something, you notify me and just let me know what it is. You can keep it, you can have it, but I just want to know what you found. I'm just as interested in what you find. I don't care if you find a coin that's worth $1,000. You did the work, you found it. I otherwise would not have found it. That you did the work for it, you found it. But being that it came from my property, I would just like to know what you found. That's it.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty simple request. And so anybody who wants to come out and metal detect, that sounds good. Come on out.
Yeah, if you get a local metal detector group, a lot of times when they find stuff, they'll just kind of split the finds with you because they're looking for historical things or things that have a connection to the property, pretty much the same as you are. And if you're going to take all that gravel and bad dirt out of there prior to bringing in fresh gravel, you could probably arrange for them to be there when you've got the front end loader, take the dirt off to the side, drop a pile of dirt. And if you've got maybe 4 or 5 guys doing it, they'll rake that dirt out flat because you can only go maybe 6 inches reliably with a metal detector. And the better ones will discriminate between the nails and the junk stuff and, gold and your, more likely to be historic pieces. So, and those guys are pretty fast if they do a lot of metal detecting, and they'd love doing something like that. Anytime they can latch onto a historic property, and especially if it's fresh dirt or an area that hasn't been scoured by metal detectors, they love that kind of stuff. So just get a hold of a local group, and they'll organize who's going to make it out, how they're going to do it, and just that way you don't have any slowdowns. Minimal burden to you while you're trying to excavate all that old gravel.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I honestly, and I was into metal detecting when I was a kid. The very first time I took my dad's metal detector out, I found a bracelet. It was nothing valuable, but it was still, to me, it was always the hunt. Kind of like how Route 66 is too. Route 66 for me, I know people always talk about it's the people and it's the places. It never really was for me when I got into 66. It was the hunt for the old road, which is what intrigued me and kind of captivated my interest. And I would imagine metal detecting for many is probably the same thing. It's that hunt, never knowing what you're going to find, and then when you do find something, you wonder who held on to this or who owned it, and what the story is behind it, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll probably do that, John. I'll probably reach out to a couple local guys, see if there's anyone in the Sullivan, St. Clair, Bourbon, Cuba area who's interested in coming out. Washington, Missouri is not too far away, and because once I dig it all up and haul it away, it's gone.
Yeah, I think you'll find some cool stuff. And I think what drives most that metal detect is not trying to find a valuable coin. It's pulling up things and then finding the connection to the property. And sometimes it's just trying to figure out what it is. You'll have an old piece of silver or metal, and it may have come off some kind of an award or something. May have some writing on it that needs to be discerned what it is. That's half of the hunt right there. And then they'll go out on Facebook, and if they don't know what it is, there's plenty of metal detecting groups on Facebook. They'll put it out on Facebook and say, "Hey, any idea what this is?" Now, when I got my metal detector, it was just when my dad was alive to get him out of the house and another hobby, something that when there's nothing going on, get outside, do a little bit of metal detecting. He loved to hunt as well. And that was a lot of fun. So I used to do it more like, 5-6 years ago. I've just got, kind of a basic Garrett Ace 400, which works just fine. I can discern the better metals from the cheaper metals. And Elizabeth and I go out as part of a group called Ring Finders, and we find rings for people, but that's kind
cool.
of a little,
it's fun.
It's a side business. Elizabeth just loves doing it more than I do even. And it's just fun to do. But it does feel a little bit more like work. I mean, ideally, and it's hard to find properties. It's really hard to find properties that are historic that haven't been gone over by a metal detector. So it's kind of a rare find.
It probably should be gone over. I've had some good finds on here at my home. We were digging. I had one of my work guys. This was probably 13 to 15 years ago, and I mean, I'm proficient on a skid steer. It's like it's like a scalpel to a surgeon. A skid steer is to me. I'm just just love skid steers. And I was digging, and my guy jumps down in front of my bucket. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop! And I back off. And he goes sifting through the dirt, and he pulls up a spearhead about that long, about 7 inches long, a spearhead made out of flint. And he still has it. He actually, but Ken, he found it again. My outlook was, yeah, it's my property, but I would have never seen it. He was the one that was looking out and alerted me to it, and I let him have it. And he actually reached out to me a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, I want to give you this spearhead back. I kind of feel bad for you letting me have it, and I don't have any use for it, and it came off your property." But a couple of years ago, I was laying out some new sod in front of my house, and one day I found a perfect arrowhead. I was tilling up the ground, found a perfect arrowhead, came back the next day and was working the same area and found a fragment of another arrowhead. And I love that. The history, finding that stuff. It's really neat.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. We'd love to get out there, and it's been a few busy weeks, but we would just love to get out there and spend a couple days. I had a back injury in the fall, so I'm not much at pushing wheelbarrows of gravel or anything like that. But it would have just been nice to get out that way and make a visit, say hi, maybe take a few photos. But we're still planning to do it. It'd be a nice little weekend trip, if you've got work going on the weekend.
Well, I want to cover the tip of the week. I swear I'm coughing up a pound of concrete dust that I inhaled at the Shamrock jackhammering and saw cutting. The tip of the week, maybe go. I literally just came up with this because I'm like, oh, I got to do my tip of the week. Get out of your comfort zone, people. Go out and join a group doing something. I'm not saying you have to go out and do a work session, but the people that you meet, I watched these 3 people that descended on the Shamrock this week, from just happened to all be from Wisconsin, but they don't know each other. They never met each other. Husband and wife team. And then my good friend Rita, Scott Wallace and his wife came down. Scott had been out to the trading post several times. But I think watching these people work together, Rita, Scott, and Scott's wife, Sue, they really bonded together. And I think I got to see a friendship form. And it's just really neat how our community of Route 66 enthusiasts can facilitate these types of relationships and foster these relationships. So get out of your comfort zone, join a motor tour, come to an association meeting, join a workday session. A lot of times people are looking for painters or people to kind of, cut down brush and stuff. But there's all sorts of opportunities out there. It doesn't even have to be 66. It can be anything preservation minded. I know my mom, when she was alive and I was a kid, probably, 30, 35 years ago, she did a lot of volunteering at an archaeological dig site here in St. Louis called the Scott Joplin House. And she made a lot of friends doing that. So get out of your comfort zone, join a volunteer session, join a group of some kind. The pandemic's over. People need to get out. They need to shut the TV off, turn that radio off, all that propaganda, indoctrination, tune all that garbage out and get back to meeting people and trying to find kindred spirits. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for kindred spirits, and that's what life is about. I think that's a pretty good tip for this week. What do you guys think about that, John, Elizabeth?
I think it's good.
I totally agree.
Get yourself a metal detector and join a metal detecting group. They're a lot of fun, actually. So, on the metal detecting, Elizabeth, what do you think? Do you think we should just bring the metal detector when we make it over that way? And since you love doing that,
Yeah, I would love to do that.
I'll sit back on the park bench and watch you do. No, I'll
You better not.
Well, I have this terrible habit, and it's just who I am. I have to disturb everything. So the parking lot will be getting disturbed here in about a week and a half. Even the rear part of the property will have some minimal disturbances. I won't be touching the front though. So if you're looking for something that will be completely untouched, the front yard in front of the Shamrock, between 66 and the Shamrock, I don't have any plans of disturbing that at all. And I can tell you guys, if you're interested, just see me first to come on the property. But they used to have, when 66 was running through there and not that noisy interstate, they used to have little cafe or picnic tables and stuff out there and chairs. So people would be out there eating lunch and gathering and stuff like that. So I would say for probably the first 20 years of the Shamrock's existence, people would gather out there in that front yard. I'm sure there's some stuff out there, and there's some good advice. Someone says, watch out for the cat poop when you go out metal detecting.
I thought that was just a tree. You should have just said, oh, that's the tree. and put their mind at ease.
Yeah, no, there's no ginkgo tree out there. I'm sure it was cats because the one thing about cats, I love cats. So for all the animal people out there, don't send me hate mail. I don't want to see it. I don't care. There are too many cats. They need to be relocated. And actually, cats are one of my favorite animals. I would never harm a cat or anything like that. It's not their fault that they're overproducing. It's the people around me that keep fostering this cycle. And so I'm going to have to relocate some cats. But the one benefit is I've never seen a mouse. I think I've seen a mouse one time in the Oh yeah, I seen a mouse one time up in the attic of the Shamrock like 3 or 4 years ago. But I've seen hardly any evidence of rodents. So the cats do a good job of keeping them at bay.
Are your cats multiplying?
They are multiplying.
You need to get a hold of a good TNR program, trap and release.
If people have been following the Shamrock, and we're going to be ending here shortly, but for the people that have been following the Shamrock, we had a mascot named Bernie. It was a kitten.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had the brush pile out there, and I light the brush pile on fire, and I hear this meow, meow, meow. And I said, what the hell is that? And so I run out there, and I'm like, what is this noise? And it's this itty bitty little kitten about 4 inches long, 5 inches long, and he's just a little ball of fluff, and he's singed. His fur was on fire, and so we scooped him up. We put him in a shoebox. The roofer that I had hired actually nursed him back to health and gave him to a friend. And Bernie's a big full-size cat today and looks pretty happy, pretty healthy. So yeah,
every place can always use a mascot. So we're cat lovers too. We've got 2 indoor cats and then 2 that spend a lot of their time in a huge kitty condo we built in the garage. Yeah. And when we make it out there, I'll try and bring some of my toys. I'm a flashlight. I'm a flashlight collector. And when we came to the Shamrock lighting ceremony, I had to bring lights.
Yeah.
And this is the one I had at the time. It's 100,000 lumens. Technically, the world's most powerful production flashlight.
I need one of those.
And I just got this
off Amazon.
Yeah. I've got some contacts with the company, so I've always got access to a coupon or something when I order these.
Drop me a link for that, John. I'll do that.
These you got a budget for. This one I love. It's got a real long throw. It's 120,000 lumens. So this is the new king of the hill at 120,000 lumens, but it's more of a thrower. So it's got this is very broad light, and it's got it's got 18 what is it, CR70s or something, and this has got like 32 CR50s, Cree LEDs. And we took it out last night. I begged Elizabeth to go with me because I didn't want to stand out in the middle of the country by myself, because I don't know, I get creepy thoughts like, oh, what if this happens? What if, and she writes about, aliens and cryptids and weird stuff. So if I read one of her stories, it already puts the hair up on the back of my neck.
He gets paranoid.
But these are really cool. I've got some smaller ones as well. I'll tell you, these are not practical. These will gather a crowd. And when I had this one last year, I brought it to the Shamrock event. And later in the night, after the lights got turned on and everything, I turned this thing on and pointed it straight up toward the trees. And I couldn't believe it. About 6 teenagers ran up and said, is that an MS-18, the world's brightest flashlight? And I couldn't believe these kids knew what it was, but I guess there's a ton of YouTube videos. You can do a Batman symbol on the clouds if you use a couple of, Fresnel lens.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do that sometime. And they're just really cool to play around with. The smaller ones, though, are practical. I mean, you can almost kind of put them in your pocket, like 35,000 to maybe 50,000 lumens. It's the size of a beer can. Those are great on a camping trip.
Send me a link for that, John. Hey, John, I got a request for an updated picture of Bernie, and I'm over time. My dinner's waiting. So, John, Elizabeth, thanks for touching base again. We'll see you guys shortly. I'm going to show everyone a picture of Bernie, and then I'm going to sign off here. Thanks, guys.
And go your own way.
You too. Okay, somebody had a request for Bernie the cat, and just to honor your request, I thought it was a good one. I found a picture of Bernie the cat, and here he is. There's Bernie the cat. That picture was given to me a little less than a year ago. I had sent my roofer a request for a picture of the cat, and there he is. That's Bernie the cat. And let's see if I can maybe find a different image. Oh, there he is again. See if I can zoom in a little bit. He looks pretty happy, pretty healthy. Let's see. Let's move on. And there he was as a kitten. That was when the roofer was nursing him back to health. Isn't he adorable? Let's see if we got any more pictures of him. No, those are the pictures that the roofer sent me. It was a kitten there, and now he's full grown. He looks pretty happy. Bernie the cat, our mascot out at the Shamrock. So that was a good request. Thank you for whoever sent that in. Yeah, he is a beautiful little fluff ball. Okay. All right, guys, let me get back on here. Let's see. Let's close this chat out. And just want to make one last suggestion. So a couple things. The website, Hooked on Route 66, you might go check it out. Actually, let's see here. Let me find that graphic. I'm so lost here. No, I don't have a link for that. Well, shame on me for not having the link. Hooked on Route 66. There's the donate link. If you look at that right there, you don't have to donate. I would appreciate it if you did, because this show costs a lot of money to put on. But if you go to the website, Hooked on Route 66, you can see this stream there live every Sunday. If you don't like YouTube or Facebook, you can see it right on the website. Streams live. But also, I've got a video stash. It's called my secret stash of videos. And I don't have them on YouTube. They're difficult to find on Facebook, but you can find them on my website there, Hooked on Route 66. Go check those out. I'll be adding some more here soon. And I do a nice little blog post that explains the video, that kind of prefaces what's going on. And I think you'll enjoy that. Please always be sure to share the videos. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications. You don't want to miss the show. But please be sure and share this with the other Route 66 friends. And I'll keep doing the videos as long as people are watching them. It's always a joy. So thank you, everybody. As always, go your own way. I'll see you guys next week. And here soon, I'm going to have some more guests on the show, some good celebrity guests, some good entertaining guests, and you'll enjoy that. Thanks again, guys.